Hey, this is Kevin Kelly. Get ready for the latest episode of the Stardom Cast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Stardom Cast. I am your host Matt Turner, and I am unfortunately not joined by your friend and mine, one Rob Goodwin. I am flying solo today as Rob Goodwin is on the injured reserve list. Alas though folks, he's A-okay, it's just his foot. Rob sent me a text message yesterday, the day before the recording, saying, hey buddy, I think I broke my foot. You're probably going to have to do the podcast tomorrow solo, if that's okay with you. I said, absolutely, Rob. Not a problem, my friend. So the obvious question that everyone has, the obvious elephant in the room, and the same question that I had was, Rob, how did you break your foot? I immediately asked him, did you break your foot by trying to do the Cosmic Angels dance? He responded back immediately, LOL, laughing, saying, yes, that's exactly what he did. But then he told me, actually how he really broke his foot, and I flat out told him, I said, Rob, we cannot tell our listeners that story because it's absolutely boring. The Stardom Cast is to be funny, informative, and entertaining. There's no entertainment in that story whatsoever, so I have to go on recording when I record the podcast and let everybody know that you broke your foot, and the reason why you cannot record with me this week is because you broke your foot doing the Cosmic Angels dance. Now, if I can have everybody please do me a favor, because I think this will be absolutely hilarious and fun and funny. Tweet at Rob at the real Rob Goodwin. Obviously wish him well on a speedy recovery on his foot/ankle. And if you can send him a GIF or a picture or a meme or anything with any of the Cosmic Angels, I think that'll be absolutely hilarious. And something that I'll obviously get a kick out of. Pun, I guess, intended. He will as well. And I hope everybody out there, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast, get a kick out of as well. So, so this is going to be me flying solo, kind of throwing it back to just a few months ago when I was doing the podcast solo. So just going to be me here, folks. We're going to we're just going to be reviewing the card from the 5th of November, because as of the recording, only half the show of the 6th went up. And then we're just going to be previewing the announced cards for Gold Rush and Historic Crossover. So this might be a little bit shorter of an episode. We shall see. Before we get into everything with the Stardom Cast here today, I just kind of want to say, hey, big weekend in the world of entertainment and comics. As I'm sure all you know, I'm a big fan of comic books. We have Black Panther 2, Electric Boogaloo. That's not what it's really called. Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, coming out this weekend. Really, really excited to go and see it. I know this podcast will drop on Friday. I'm actually going with Lily, my daughter, one of my favorite people to go to the movies ever with. I'm going with on Thursday night. And hey, if you're going to go see it this weekend, drop me a line. Let me know what you think, if you enjoyed it or not. Obviously, the big question, one of the big questions going into this movie is who's going to be replacing the late, great Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther. Obviously, he did the fantastic job of the role of playing Black Panther, not only in the first Black Panther movie of T'Challa, but also in the Avengers movies as well. We lost Chadwick Boseman a few years ago, I believe, to cancer. Obviously, very, very sad. Marvel came out and they said they will not recast T'Challa. I've read a lot of Black Panther runs in my day, and I believe it was the Don McGregor run, which T'Challa did pass on, and he was replaced by Shuri. And I think that's what they're going to be doing in this one. I think that Shuri is going to be taking up the mantle of the Black Panther. And I don't mean Shuri, our current World of Stardom champion. I mean T'Challa's sister, Shuri, who is played by Letitia Wright, who's done a fantastic job in that role. Most notably known for the part in the Battle of Wakanda and Infinity War when Bruce Banner's trying to explain to Shuri how they're trying to get the Mind Stone out of Vision's head. And she's like, how come you didn't do this, this, and this? And basically just being a smart ass to the genius that is Bruce Banner. So I'm really excited to go, really excited to see it. I mean, anytime I go to the movies, I'm like a big kid. I just love going to the movies. And the fact that it's one of these really big Marvel movies, I'm excited to see that. My prediction in this movie, because it looks like it's Atlantis is going to be invading Wakanda. And I know that we've seen some shots of Namor, the Submariner. I think that we're going to get a big introduction to the Fantastic Four. We'll probably not see any of the members of the Fantastic Four in this movie, but I think that this is going to be kind of the bridge towards it. Black Panther did debut in the issues of Fantastic Four. Also, Namor is basically a frenemy of the Fantastic Four, notably in a lot of the runs, especially a lot of the runs in the last 20 years or so. He's tried to swoon one Susan Storm away from one Reed Richards, but at the same time, that whenever the Fantastic Four get in trouble with the big villain, whether it's the Mole Man, whether it's Doctor Doom, whether it's Galactus, there is sometimes they have to ask Namor, the Submariner, for some help. So I think that we're going to see some seeds planted for the Fantastic Four movie, which I believe comes out, I think it's Valentine's Day, actually, in I think like 2024 or 2025. So I know it is Valentine's Day, so reserve your Valentine's Day dates for the next 2 or 3 years coming up. So again, if you are going to see that, let me know what you think. Drop me a line. You all know how to get a hold of me. Okay, last week, Rob, there was a question that was asked on our Patreon. I believe it was Steve over at our Patreon. And if I have that wrong, please, correct me, send me a message. Asked about if we would ever brew our own Stardom cast beer. I know me and Rob kind of like laughed it off and, thought, hey, I guess maybe it's a possibility. Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. I thought about it for about a day and a half, and I do have friends that work in the beer industry. So I thought, you know what? Again, I always say if you don't ask, the answer's always no. So I asked my friends over at Funk Brewing, and I promote Funk Brewing just as much as I promote Rob's book. And if you're asking what book is that, that's Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary in review. But I go back to the beer thing. So I'm a big fan of what they're doing over at Funk Brewing. And again, friends of mine own it. I will always promote my friends' stuff, regardless. If it's really, really good, I'll promote it all the time. Just like Rob's book, I promote the Funk Brewing. You'll see it on my Instagram. You'll see it on my Twitter. Their beers are absolutely fantastic, and they're big fans of professional wrestling and rock and roll, which suits me really well. In November, they always drop a beer it's a coffee beer. It's called Shot in the Dark, which obviously there is a very famous Ozzy Osbourne song called Shot in the Dark. In the beginning of January, they drop a beer called Royally Rumbled, which is a take off the Royal Rumble, and the font of the art on that can is done in the font of Metallica's Ride the Lightning. They also have some really fantastic dessert beers. They just came out with a brownie beer. Haven't had a chance to have that yet. They have a beer called Neapolitan, which is like your Neapolitan ice cream. It's brewed with vanilla spices, strawberries, and chocolate, which is that. Like I said, it's a really good beer. My favorite of the dessert beers is something called Cookie Monster, where it is brewed with chocolate chip cookies, and a hint of vanilla. So what I'm trying to say is Funk Brewing is the real deal. It's not just like a fly-by-night brewery. So what I did is I texted my buddy Norman. Norman's been a mentor of mine probably the last like 15 years or so. I mean, I can I'm not going to bore you with the story. Maybe we'll have Norm on the show to explain everything that, what he does in Funk Brewing. But I sent Norm a message and I said, hey buddy, here's kind of like an idea that's kind of gotten thrown at us. Would we be able to do the Stardom cast beer? Was this a possibility? And is this something that you guys over at Funk would back us up? He immediately texted me back. He said, absolutely. Obviously, there's a lot of things we would need to sit down and discuss. But if you guys over at the Stardom cast and your listeners really have a demand for this, and it's something that you guys want to do, we absolutely can make it happen. I text Rob and I said, you won't believe this, but this beer thing that was just thrown at us on Patreon, this is something that we can really, really do, something that we really, really can pursue. Obviously, there's a lot of discussions that we need to talk. We need to talk to the people over at Funk. and whatnot. But if this is something that me and you really want to do, there's a very good possibility, folks, that in the year 2023, there'll be a Stardom Cast beer out there. Again, it's not definite. It's something that all of us, between all of us at the Stardom Cast and all of us at Funk Brewing are going to have to sit down or Zoom, because of the fact that Rob is all the way across the other side of the earth, that we'd probably have to do a Zoom meeting or a Microsoft Teams meeting to really figure out this is something that we want to pursue. If this is something that the friends and family over at the Stardom Cast want, just let us know. Let us know. I mean, if there's a demand for it, it's something that we will absolutely pursue. So fingers crossed, you might see the Stardom Cast brew somewhere in the stores by the end of 2023. So really exciting stuff. So moving on, I just kind of want to move on to what we have going on Patreon. First of all, thanks to everyone that has subscribed to the Patreon. So this past Monday, we dropped for the Red Belt tier members our watch along. Mayu Iwatani challenging Kari Hojo for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Kind of very fantastic timing on my part there, putting that match up, considering the fact that in 1 week's time, it will be Mayu Iwatani and Kari main eventing, and we'll get to that in a minute, the historic crossover show. So arguably the biggest match in Stardom's history coming down the pike in just about 1 week's time. Coming up next week on our watch along will be Momo AZ in the finals of the let me rewind the button here. Will be the finals of the 2021 Goddess of Stardom tournament. It will be Momo AZ going up against Hazuki and Koguma FWC. So, because I have not watched enough Momo Watanabe and Azumi tagging, and I've not watched enough Hazuki stuff, I figured, hey, let's just get that in there as well. And speaking of Hazuki, it's in the can, ready to go. It should be in your feeds for the White Belt and Red Belt tier Patreon members. The Hazuki High Speed Championship reign, that should be in the Patreon feeds in the next few days. It's recorded, ready to go. And at the end of this month of November, the Kagetsu Red Belt reign will be there in there as well. So again, thanks to everyone for the fantastic support, and hello to all of our new Patreon members. So, all right, let's go. Stardom had a press conference where they ran down a good majority of the matches coming up for not only historic crossover, but the night before on November 19th, the Gold Rush 2022. I'm just going to run these down real quick because obviously we're going to do a preview for this show next week. And of course, I want to do the preview with Rob. So again, I'm kind of just going to run these down real quick, and then we'll do a full preview on next week's show of Gold Rush 2022, and of course, historic crossover. First of all, we are going to have the Moneyball tournament, which the finals will be in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. So we have the Stars team of FWC, Hazuki, Koguma, and Mayu taking on the God's Eye team of Mirai, Tomoka Inaba, and Ami Sori. That match is going to be great. The fact that we're going to see Inaba and Hazuki, two fantastic strikers, in their ring together. I mean, just the combinations. Just FWC up against Ami Sori and Mirai. That's going to be great as well. Mayu in there with Mirai. They had a fantastic match on the this year's 5-star. So that match is a match that I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, you have the 3 championship matches that are going to headline the show, but just that match of FWC and Mayu versus God's Eye, I think that's going to be absolutely terrific. And then on the other bracket, we have Donald Del Mundo team of Mai Sakurai, Tekla, and Julia taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Waka, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi. So you have Tam and Natsupoi, the current Goddess of Stardom tag team champions, taking on. I'm just a big fan of these 6-person tags with Julia, because Julia has a tag team with Tekla, known as Mafia Bella. Obviously, they are in this year's Goddess of Stardom tournament. And then when Tekla got injured earlier this year, Julia was teaming up with Mai Sakurai, making the team of Oh My Julia. So you basically have Julia, and I've noticed in these 6-person tags, since Tekla's been back, that Julia's been doing her tag stuff in these matches with both Tekla and Mai Sakurai. So, and then you're throwing in, obviously, Waka doesn't have a win, probably going to eat the pinfall here, but she's fantastic in the ring. And then you're obviously throwing in Tam and Natsupoi, the tag team champions as well. So I think that's going to be absolutely terrific. And then you're going to see, again, you're having a ladder match as the finals. I've never wanted Mayu to lose a match so much before, because as we talked about in this podcast, we don't want Mayu in a ladder match, not only a ladder match, but a tables, ladders, and chairs match, a TLC match the night before the biggest match in Stardom history with Kari. So I'm going to go on a limb and say the winners of this whole tournament is going to be, I think just by process of elimination, is going to be the God's Eye team. Because I just don't see Mayu in a TLC match the night before the match with Kari. Julia doesn't need to win this tournament, considering the fact that she's going to be in the main event of the biggest show of the year coming up on the end of December. Waka is probably going to eat the pinfall in that match. So I think just by process of elimination, that God's Eye is going to win the tournament. But again, more on that next week. So I just want to quickly preview the 3 championship matches, as we have Azumi defending the High Speed Championship against Momoko Hanazoko. Hopefully I said that right. I've never seen Hanazoko wrestle before. If anybody has any YouTube links or any links where I can watch her matches, please send them my way, as I know that Stardom would not put her in this big show, in this big match, headlined by these 2 fantastic main events against one of the best wrestlers in the world, in Azumi, if they didn't think that she could deliver it. Obviously, we saw what happened earlier in this year with Mesagura, and was probably my favorite high-speed championship defense from Azumi this year, and I'm so excited to see Azumi defend that high-speed championship, as she's one of my favorite champions in all of wrestling in this year. What I'm assuming is the co-main event. The main event, the 2 championship matches, the white belt and the red belt, both big-time matches. Obviously, the focus is more on the white belt. Sai Kamatani, my wrestler of the year, going up against Kairi for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. That's a huge, huge match. When that match was supposed to happen back at Stardom X Stardom, the main event of that show was Nanae Takahashi challenging Shuri for the World of Stardom Championship. And I, like many people, thought that Kairi versus Sai Kamatani was the bigger match. Should go on last. Obviously, Kairi came down with COVID. That match had to be changed to Sai Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship up against Himeka, and that match absolutely completely blew everyone's expectations away, in one of my favorite matches of the year, not just from Stardom, but from any company. However, the main event is Shuri defending the World of Stardom Championship against Utami. Obviously, this coming off Utami's last-second victory in this year's 5-star. Shuri trying to get her win back. So I'm assuming Shuri versus Utami will go on last. I'm not sure what match will be better. This literally might be the best 1-2 combination of matches that I have seen since Wrestle Kingdom 11, which had Tanahashi and Naito for the IC Championship, and then the main event was Okada versus Omega for the IWGP Championship. But these 2 1-2 punch combination matches. This is something that literally can be on their Dream Queendom show, and the fact that this is 6 weeks before Dream Queendom, what are we getting for the last 2 matches for Dream Queendom? Obviously, it's probably going to be Shuri versus Julia going on last, but what's the co-main event going to be? Maybe Saya and Kairi goes to a time limit draw, and then they run it back again at Sumo Hall. That I don't know. Needless to say, some really, really interesting stuff. And obviously, there's a few other tag matches as well. Again, we will review that in full next week when one Mr. Rob Goodwin perfects the Cosmic Angels dance. And again, he'll be back with me next week. And they announced the entire card for the next day, the 20th, the historic crossover card, and with Stardom in New Japan. And they announced that Mayu Iwatani and Kairi for the finals of the IWGP Championship Tournament will be the main event of that show. That's a big deal. I mean, listen to the names that are on this show. Big names like Will Ospreay. Big names like Hiroki Goto. Big names like Zack Sabre Jr. Big names like Hiroshi Tanahashi. Big names like Kazuchika Okada. Big names. I mean, is there any bigger name in the history of New Japan that's not Antonio Inoki than the Great Muta? The Great Muta coming back on this show on his very lengthy retirement tour. And the main event of this show is Mayu versus Kairi. Again, this show, if it does over 5,500 people, will be the most watched Stardom match in attendance of all time. Well, I mean, I guess you have the Tokyo Dome shows. But again, regardless. Again, I'm kind of just going to run down quickly the Stardom side of the card. We have Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe teaming up with El Desperado and Doki, taking on the team of Natsupoi, Tam Nakano, Yoshimoto Kanemaru, and Taichi. So you get some flavors of Black Desire versus Meltier, so former champions and the current champions. So that'll be really good, really, really interesting. Probably then you have another two really solid mixed tag matches. Maika and Hiroki Goto taking on the team of Utami and Hiroshi Tanahashi. As of this recording, they just showed shirts of Hiroki Goto and Maika, and then shirts of Utami and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I have no idea how to get my hands on those shirts. I don't need any more wrestling shirts. I have so many, but I would feel like a fool if I didn't buy them. Both of those look absolutely fantastic, and this match is going to be great. So we get to see Utami and Maika go at it again, never get sick of that pair, and Tanahashi and Goto. And they've had some classics over the last 10 years in Stardom. And then we have, how about this team? Basically the team of shooters. Sherry taking on Tom Lawler. Obviously, these two have fought in the UFC, but are not Sherry taking on Tom Lawler. Sherry teaming with Tom Lawler, but that's a match I'd pay to see. Sherry teaming and fighting Tom Lawler. So you have Tom Lawler is a noted Stardom fan, and maybe somebody that in the very near future we need to get on the podcast. That's something that I'll probably be working on sometime towards the end of the year. Sherry team with Tom Lawler, two shooters, two former UFC fighters, taking on Technical Wizards of Julia and Zack Sabre Jr. Again, Tom Lawler, Zack Sabre Jr., that's going to be fantastic. And I think this match is just going to serve as a giant preview for the Julia Sherry World of Stardom Championship match. Again, that match will be set in stone after I think Sherry has the successful title defense against Utami the night before. So this match is basically going to be a giant preview, giant commercial for that match. And then you have Tom Lawler and Zack Sabre Jr., two of the best wrestlers in New Japan. I know it's not a Stardom match, but it looks like what the co-main event is for the IWGP US champion Shota Umino, returning from excursion, will challenge Will Ospreay, one of the wrestlers of the year, in what should be a absolute fantastic match. And then, of course, the main event, two of the three daughters of Stardom, Mayu Iwatani and Kairi, for the IWGP to crown the first ever IWGP Women's Championship. It's just exciting. That whole weekend is just so exciting between the show on the 19th, the show on the 20th. The AEW show looks pretty good, and there's the women's match on the AEW show features two former Stardom champions. Toni Storm, obviously the first Stardom wrestler, first and only Stardom wrestler to win the 5-star and the Cinderella in the same year, as she'll be defending the AEW Women's Championship against former tag champ and Jamie Hayter. So there's going to be a lot of wrestling going on that week in the Turner household. Okay, folks, I think I pretty much just kind of ran over everything. And again, we are going to have a much bigger preview of the shows on the 19th and the 20th next week, as we'll be a few days away. So I guess the last thing to do, and again, yeah, this is going to be a shorter show. Again, the only show that is completely up on Stardom World, the show on the 6th went up, but I think it's just 3 or 4 matches. Obviously, I did not get a chance to watch them, so we're just going to review the show from the 5th. So again, this is just going to be a quicker show, shorter show, which I'm assuming next week is going to be a bigger show. So, okay, this show took place, again, the 5th of November in front of 307 people. The first match was a 3-way dance as Starlight Kid took on Lady C and Ruaka. So you two members of Oedo Tai taking on members of Queen's Quest. So we all knew what was going to happen in the beginning. Basically, it was a glorified handicap match. Eventually, they did a good job getting some heat on Lady C, building some sympathy. Eventually, Lady C gets her first advantage with a double Russian leg sweep and gives Starlight Kid the giant swing. That was a really, really cool visual to see Starlight Kid's fantastic mask just being spun around. That was really cool. Eventually, Oedo Tai gets the double team back in onto Lady C. The Lady C winds up fighting back with the double giant Baba style clothesline. And then Lady C hits Starlight Kid with a huge chokeslam, gets a 2 count. Ruaka blindsides Lady C with a fisherman suplex for 2. And then Starlight Kid follows up with a lightning spiral moonsault combination for the win. 7 minutes 47 seconds. I have this one at 3.25 stars. We go to the Blue Goddess of Stardom tournament bracket, as we have the team of 7-Up, Nene Takahashi and Yu, coming in with 2 points, taking on the team of Mirai and Ami Sourei, who don't have any points going into this match. So we had a really great lockup with Ami Sourei and Nanae Takahashi. Nanae backs up Ami with some forearms, some really good strike exchanges with Nanae Takahashi and Ami Sourei. And then the match, I'm not gonna say it falls apart. There was just I have to bring this. I have to bring this up. I've only seen you wrestle in Stardom before. I've never seen her wrestle in any other company before. I know she came out with a belt from another company. Forgive me, it escapes me. But Mirai, they basically almost team off like Mirai and you in the middle part of the match. Mirai comes in. She's one of the hardest hitters in Stardom, and I know you as a bigger wrestler, bigger, stronger wrestler than Mirai. But Mirai comes in. She's firing off these forearms, and Mirai's known for her hard hitting style, and you just no selling them. And just it's not like I understand if you're not going to sell something. It's like because well somebody's new into the territory, which obviously she's not, and because it's Mirai, she's former Cinderella champion, did fairly well in the 5-star, had a couple shots, had a shot at the Sai Kamitani's white belt, had a few had a few shots at the Goddess Stardom tournament. Or another reason you would no sell is because your strikes just aren't that good. Because if you're not throwing stiff strikes and you're selling, then who looks like the phony? You're basically selling a bad magic trick. And Mirai's really laying stuff into you, and she's just no selling them. Then it gets to a point where Mirai hits her lariat combination, one in the front, one in the back, and like floored. And she hits this lariat in the back of you, hits her right in the back of the head, kind of floors her. And then we're getting towards like the meat and crux of the match, and everything that Nanai did was really, really good. She sold, she knew where she needed to be. She was, stiff in safe spots. I thought everything that she did was really, really good. But then it gets to the part where Ami and Mirai need a double team. They're going to start, putting over their double team moves, and they go for the double sandwich clothesline, and it was off. I'm like, that's weird. They've done that spot a whole bunch before. Then there's a spot where Mirai's coming off the ropes to go for a clothesline, and you just does not sell into the right spot, and just not where she needs to be. It kind of gets clunky. It was a good match, but it just seems like you just didn't want to sell, like didn't want to be there. But everything that Mirai and Ami did as a team was really good, and everything that Nanai did, I thought was absolutely excellent. Excellent here. And Nanai, who's over 40, just she's fantastic. I thought everything I've seen her since she's been back here in Stardom, towards the tail end this year, I've really been impressed with. But then even like the part where Mirai is like going for the double wrist lock, like you just won't even sell it or won't even give it to her, won't even feed nothing. So you get to the time limit draw, and then the camera goes on, zooms on you. She takes her wrist things off and angrily throws them on the ground. You can see that she's very frustrated and kind of, part of my language, pissed off. And she goes up and gets in Mirai's face, not Ami's face, gets in Mirai's face, and they kind of have a stare off, and then you kind of just like slaps her in the face, which I thought was something else. So I thought that was just a little bit odd. I don't know if it's a storyline, but at the same time, you're kind of new into the territory of Stardom, the biggest women's wrestling company in the world, second biggest wrestling company in Japan, and what we think is the fourth biggest wrestling company in the world. You're no selling a star that they've been pushing since January. Won the Cinderella tournament, yada, yada, yada. And then afterwards, she kind of came off to me as unprofessional. And again, if this is part of the storyline, guess what? Rasi Ogawa, you guys got me. You guys got me, because if this is what they're doing with the Neo Stardom Army, hey, okay, where they're going to be just a little bit different and a little bit difficult to deal with in storyline, then hey, hook, line, and sinker, you're doing something different. But to me, and if I'm wrong or if anybody else agrees or disagrees with me, let me know. To me, I thought you just came off as very disrespectful and very unprofessional. And maybe, hopefully, this is only their second match in the tournament. Still have a ways to go. And on the Gold Rush show, I believe they're wrestling Mike and Himika, two of the hardest hitters. And I don't think they're going to be putting up with any of that crap. So I'm going to be really focusing close on that match on the 19th just to see. Maybe she just had maybe when they were putting the match together, she didn't like the way she was vibing with Mirai. Maybe she didn't like something that she was doing. Who knows? But again, when you're newer into the territory and one of your big top dogs you're no selling for and being disrespectful for and not being at the right spot at the right time, that's just not good. Not good. But I thought the match was pretty solid other than that. Again, time limit draw, 3.5 stars. We move on to match number 3. We have the team of Milk here, which I'm starting to like that name now. Tam and Natsupoi taking on the team of Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. Obviously, this wasn't a tournament match because they're in different blocks, but I thought this match is really, really good. Azumi and Miyu hit a double drop kick to start on the champs. Boy, I tell you, this is a match that maybe somewhere down the line next year I would like to see for the tag belts. We get some really good double team spots from the O2 line as Azumi and Miyu are really, really gelling well together. And then we get some, basically the coin gets flipped as we see some really good tag team spots from the tag team champions as well. I mean, it makes sense. They are the tag team champions. Miyu hits a beautiful spike DDT. Azumi comes in, uses the high-speed offense to take down Meltear for basically the first real advantage for the O2 line team. Azumi locks Tam in an armbar. Tam fires back on Azumi with some brutal knees to the head. Azumi and Tam work very, very well together. They had like a 4 or 5 minute match in this year's 5-star. It's basically high-speed Tam hanging with Azumi. I love to see these two have like a 14, 15 minute match because their stuff together here was really, really good. Poi crushes Miyu with the boot scrape drop kick. And look at, how about Natsupoi? Turning it around. Everybody's beating up on poor Natsupoi, lately, these past few months. She turns it around on the rookie Miyu. Azumi and Miyu hit a head kick roll-up combination that we've seen before. Really like how they do that. Azumi hits the double stomp as Miyu hits these, and then Miyu follows up with a sit-out pedigree for 2. Tam launches Azumi with the German suplex, and then the tag team champions hit the double super kick combo on the rookie Miyu Amasaki, and then followed by Natsupoi hitting a lightning spiral, and the farewell gift gets the job done. 10 minutes, 40 seconds, 3.5 stars. Again, this was a really, really good match. And it's a match that maybe Wasugawa's, if they're looking for challengers for Meltears, I just don't see them taking the belts off the two of them soon. I think that this would be a really good match somewhere in 2023. Give them something like 15, 16, 17 minutes because I think Miyu's just gelling really, really good with Azumi. They're having some really good tag spots and they're building up the finish really well. And obviously Tam and Natsupoi are 2 huge stars for the company. Match number 4, my favorite match of the evening, Saya Iida teaming with Mayu Iwatani to taking on the team of Saya Kamatani and Utami Hayashishita representing Queen's Quest, also known as Aphrodite. So we have a tale of 2 Sayas and then the finals of the Japanese block with Mayu and Utami. So a few interweaving stories. Starts off with some really good action from Saya Kamatani and Mayu. This is a match, obviously Mayu's been at the top of her game for a very long time now. She's a big deal in Stardom, especially right now with that match coming up on the 20th. Saya Kamatani, again, my wrestler of the year. This is a match that they did have in the 5-star. I think it only went like 7 or 8 minutes. It was a really good match, but I wish that they gave the match a little bit more time because their exchange here is absolutely fantastic. They almost do very lucha high speed here. Excellent start. A really good double team from the Stars team, and then turns into some really good double team from the Aphrodite team, of course, former tag team champions. The Iida machine gun chops to Saya Kamatani. Utami comes in for the save as we have a huge tackle fest between the 2 strongest members of the team with Saya Iida and Utami. Saya Iida hits the top rope power slam on Utami and then follows up with the Road Warrior style shoulder tackle. Gets a 2 count. She tries for the brain buster, but Saya Kamatani comes in and makes the save. We get some double team moves onto Saya Iida, and then Mayu comes in and makes the save on her younger Stars partner. Iida locks in the Iidabashi on Utami, but as Iida's bridging, this is a really cool spot. As Iida was bridging on the pin, Saya Kamatani comes running in with a jumping double stomp to make the save. They wind up taking Mayu out. Aphrodite hit the Magic Killer, and then Utami hits the German suplex. 8 minutes, 24 seconds. Talk about a hidden gem of a match in a year that is full of match of the year candidates from Stardom. This was 4 stars. Absolutely go and see this match. This was absolutely fantastic. Okay, we move on to, as I drop my phone, I apologize. This is very unprofessional of me. We move on to match number 5 as we get a Blue Goddess of Stardom tournament match as we have Waka and Saki representing the team of Wild Venus, which Waka for Cosmic Angels. Waka taking over for Mina Shirakawa. Obviously, she has the jaw injury from her championship match with Saya Kamatani, and it looks like that Waka is going to be taking over the spot for Mina for the rest of this tournament. And hey, silver lining, Waka let Waka take advantage of the situation because she's going to be in more higher profile matches. As in this match, they're taking on the former champions and last year's winner, FWC, Hazuki, and Koguma. And right off the bat, I mean, if you think about it, it's supposed to be Mina and probably Unagi in this tournament. Obviously, Unagi left to become a freelancer, so they slot Saki in. Mina gets injured, so they slot Waka in. I was really impressed, like 2 or 3 minutes in. Waka and Saki have some really good chemistry. And maybe this is something for them to do for next year. Again, you don't know what they're going to be doing with Waka. You don't know what they're going to be doing with Saki. Maybe not too much in the singles area, just because this everything is just so bundled up with the white belt and the red belt. At the end of going into the end of this year, beginning of next year, the Waka Saki team really really intrigues me because they were really really good here. I thought in the beginning how they got the advantage on their former champs with some double team moves, some very innovative stuff. They did a great job of taking advantage of the situation. Eventually, Hazuki comes in with the boot scrapes onto poor Waka as we get some great action with Saki and Koguma as well. I think that they kind of missed in their 5-star match. I thought Saki and Koguma could have had a better 5-star match, but they gelled really, really well here. FWC has solid teamwork as usual as they just get better with each and every outing. Saki boots Hazuki's face off. Usually we see Hazuki booting people's faces off, but basically turned around as Saki gets the huge boot on Hazuki, which there's going to be a receipt for that, which eventually she does get. You're not gonna take advantage of Hazuki like that. Hazuki Mania, running wild, brother. Koguma helps FWC get the advantage back with some really good double team spots from the former champions. Hazuki, after she boots Saki, she puts the boots to poor Waka, basically boots her into next week. Hazuki hits the Hazuki driver for a 2 count, and then Hazuki follows up with the stalling brainbuster for the win, giving FWC their second win of the tournament, putting up to 4 points. I had this at 3.5 stars. This got done just under 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 47 seconds. We move on to match number 6 and the co-main event of the show, 6-person tag team action, as we have the tag team of Maika Himika and Mei Sakurai representing Donald Del Mundo taking on the Evil Oedo tag team, Momo Watanabe, Tora, and Saki Kashima. We get some heat on Mei Sakurai early, and then Himika comes in for the hot tag, and then we see some shoulder tackles and some really good stiff strike action between kicks and forearms with Momo and Himika. And that's a singles match I don't think we've seen, or I haven't seen the two of them have, especially Momo with this new heel persona, really getting into her groove these last 4 or 5 months, and obviously Himika having 2 title matches this year, one for the white belt and one for the red belt. So both of these just completely different animals than they were a year ago. And that's a match, give that match 8, 10 minutes, 11 minutes. I'd love to see a Momo versus Himika match because their stuff was really, really good, as well as Momo versus Maika. I thought you had the 2 pairings there. Again, those are matches that I don't think we've seen, in the last year or so. Some singles matches between the 2 of them. And again, obviously, Maika coming off that fantastic championship match with Sherry. And again, Momo Watanabe really on her game, especially towards the tail end of that 5-star. So 2 intriguing matches possibly coming out of this one match. Mike and Himika use their teamwork to take down Momo Watanabe. Tora helps Momo get the advantage back as Momo locks Maika in the crossface chicken wing. Some really great forearm exchanges, like I said before, with Maika and Momo. Again, that's a match that I really, really want to see somewhere down the line. Mike and Himika hit the Tower of Doom superplex spot on Natsuko Tora. And then as they try to hit the sandwich clothesline on the leader of Oedo Tai, Starlight Kid, that evil Starlight Kid, she interferes, that giving Saki and Momo the double team advantage on Mei Sakurai, leaving poor Mei Sakurai all to Tora, giving her the clear advantage as she's constantly beating down Mei Sakurai. It looks like she's getting ready to finish her, but Mei backheel trips Natsuko Tora and goes for the Mai Pai roll, but Saki comes in with looks like a seat cushion and basically hitting everybody in DDM over the head with the seat cushion right in front of the ref. Should have called for the bell, but they had to wait until Tora comes in with the pipe and Momo comes in with the bat before they called for the disqualification. Should have called for a little bit earlier, but I guess they wanted to wait for Momo and Tora to come in with the bigger guns. I thought even though with the DQ finish, I thought this match was really, really good. And again, that Tora looked really good here. Saki looked good in her spots. Mei Sakurai did a good job selling, building up sympathy. And again, I really want to see the Momo versus Maika match and Momo versus Himika match. And also Maika and Himika versus Momo and Starlight Kid matches. All I want to see down the line. 3.5 stars, 10 minutes, 28 seconds. Leads us to the main event as we have the Karate Brave team of Innova and our World of Stardom champion, Sherry taking on the team of Tekla and this year's 5-star champion, Julia, known as Mafia Bella. Some really great technical wrestling to start between Inaba and Tekla. Tekla really just has not missed a beat since she's been back at all. Seems like there's like no ring rust on her whatsoever. Mafia's Bella teamwork is really, really on point here as we get and then basically turns into a preview of Julia versus Sherry as Sherry is just kicking, waylaying on Julia. But after a few kicks, Julia is able to get the advantage back with a suplex and the Shining Black. Shout out to Masahiro Chono. Sherry and Inaba have instantly great chemistry here, as we saw it in their first round match with Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid. I mean, they're gelling right off the bat here really, really well. Obviously, they have that striking background, and the way that they add their strikes together, I thought is really good. Sherry had a locking a sharpshooter on Tekla here. Never seen that before. If she's done it before, let me know. Sharpshooter, Scorpion Deathlock, whatever you want to call it. I used to call it the Scorpion King Deathlock when The Rock would put it on. Anywho, Tekla hits Sherry with the Toxic Spider for 2. Karate Brave, Inaba basically makes the save as we see some more double team action from the Karate Brave team. They hit that pop-up knee, or is what I call it, the 3D knee, and then Sherry quickly follows up with the Ruin for the win on Tekla. 3 3/4 stars. A solid way to end the show. Absolutely solid show. Again, my favorite match, though, was the Stars versus Queen's Quest tag match with Aphrodite taking on Mayu and Saida. Again, I highly implore everybody to go and watch the match. And folks, that's where we will end it. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with me as I do this little solo project. Thanks again for the idea for possible Stardom Cast beer. We shall see. And I do have some names for the beer as well. But I kind of wanted Rob's live reaction, so maybe in the next week or two, we will go over that. Thanks, everybody, for supporting on the Patreon. Thank you, everyone, for all of the 5-star reviews. Greatly appreciates it. Helps get this podcast out and helps the algorithm out. But I think that's where I'm going to cut it off for the day and for this podcast. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, you know how to get a hold of me. It is Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter as well. If social media is not your thing, I completely understand. Drop me an email to stardomcast22@gmail.com. I generally try to respond really quick. This weekend's going to be a little bit busy for me as I'm going to be away for my, for my quarterly Catch Annual camp. So I'll probably be in the car between Saturday and Sunday, anywhere between 8 to 9 hours. And then Catch Wrestling is like 12 to 13 hours between the 2 days. So if I don't get back to you right away, that's why I'll be getting stretched 4 ways till Sunday. But hey, just a big fan of the shoot style of professional wrestling, and they do a great job over at Snake Pit USA. Head coach Joel Bain is just an absolute genius when it comes to angles and just torturing people with wrist locks and leg locks and knee bars and chokeholds. So always excited. This is my 3rd time around. I have 22 accredited hours at Snake Pit USA, so this will be my third go at it, and I just have an absolutely fantastic time with all the coaches. So shout out to the fantastic staff over at Snake Pit USA. But again, if you guys need to get a hold of me, you know how to get a hold of me. But that's it. Any questions, comments, let me know. Because like I said, this isn't just my podcast, it's our podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different, everybody's special. Have a great day and a great night.